So like, for example, right, 0.1 Bitcoin is $9,597. You see how it just changed in real time? That's how this works. That's why we never speak in US dollars. Coinbase convert. Okay. So this is one of the ways you can always do a comparison of the value anytime you just want to know what my US dollars are equal. So I could put, let's say I want to buy Bitcoin. I'm like, how much Bitcoin should I buy, or how much Bitcoin should I send? And I say, hey man, I had $10,000. $10,000 is equal to 0.102, et cetera, BTC, right? But in simple form, 0.1, because the more you go down into the lower numbers, the more specific you get when you're talking about, what it equals to on the other side. So if I change this to a 3, that changes it completely. Every decimal, every number matters. This is all mathematics. So let's take a different asset.
Can you use a smaller number? That's a question that I get often when people are like, "Well, I want to buy some Bitcoin. What if I can't buy a whole Bitcoin? So I just have like $50. How much of a
Right.
Bitcoin does $50 get me?" Just so the people that are just buying fragments of the coin, because I will put the emphasis on it doesn't matter how much you can buy. If you can buy $20, $30 here, certainly just get the digital asset of Bitcoin.
Correct. Correct. So 50 US dollars currently right now is equal to 0.000513, etc. Right. So this is what's important. These numbers right here behind the decimal, because if I put a mistake and put a 1 right there, that changes the value back to US dollars of $147. So what we want to look at with Bitcoin is something that's very important is percentage, right? So if I put, let's say, all right, so the current price of BTC, one BTC is equal to 97,000, right? And some change. In order for me to double my money, right? BTC has to make a 100% return, meaning it has to double. So this number right here, the 97,000, has to double. Now, again, $50. So let me show you how we get priced out fast over the years. If $50 gets you this much BTC, right? We're going to go back in time and we're going to see how much BTC was. Let me put this on. I guess we can do about a month. All right, so reset chart. Take all this stuff off so we can see what we're looking at. Now we're gonna look at the bottom. The bottom is what's important because we can go back, look at exact days and times. So at this point in time, BTC, this was January 1st, 2012, on a Sunday. At this time, BTC was $5. If we go here, BTC was like 30 something dollars. We go up to this point. This is when it's crossing into like $600-700. So let's just say, for example, right here. Let's stop right there. $12. So you can get a whole Bitcoin for $12 back in the day, right? Let's do some math. So the same thing I was looking at right here, 0.0005 BTC, right? If one Bitcoin was $12 and I wanted this much BTC, let's see how much that would have cost back then. So, but see this, okay. Watch this. This is how crazy the internet is. How much was worth January 1st, was that 2012? That was 2012.
Yes,
Oh,
2012.
okay. $1, 2012 was worth. Oh no, that's something else. All right, so the value of this much Bitcoin in 2012 was equal to, hold on, estimate, we can average that Bitcoin price. So Bitcoin was at 890. 2012. So less than 1 penny. That's what it was equal to back then in US dollars. This same exact denomination that we're trying to buy right now for $50. So the way we get priced out of things is we let time go by, the asset goes up. The same amount you could have purchased at that time, or shoot, $8.90 would have got you a whole Bitcoin. Just to keep it simple, right? Now, you know what's interesting about that? There are tokens, there's plenty of tokens right now that are less than a penny. So, and this is not financial advice, but in any type of way, I'm not a financial advisor. Please take everything I say with a grain of salt. Speaking from my opinion and my research. But if we were to take this same approach with tokens right now that are, at this same, in this same range, and I'm gonna show y'all how to find those tokens, you would be in a better position to make higher percentage gains. And I'm gonna show y'all. So, okay, cool. We just seen with BTC, but as y'all see, this chart is, going over the years. Now, most time when we hear about it, we always like, if I put this on the daily chart, right? When we see this, we're like, oh, it's crashing, it's going down. But if I zoom out, because this is how life is. You know how like you get into a car accident or you take a loss or something bad happens, you're like, oh, my life is over. That's where you are, like right here. Not knowing, all of this is gonna happen. We're just kind of like zoomed in. When you're zoomed in, you really can't see what's going on. That's why they have the different time slots on the chart. So you can take this same chart. Now, mind you, when I'm showing you this is all the same chart. It's no different. This is the monthly chart, right? Now, if I go down, it's the same chart, but now it's on the weekly. Same chart, now it's on the daily. Same chart, now it's on the 4-hour. Same chart, now we're on the 2-hour. Same chart, now we're on the 15-minute. It's the same exact chart, but depending on what time frame you're looking at it at, that is going to determine what you see in the current moment. And most people only see, hey, never have FOMO. No matter what's going on, keep a level head. All right. So FOMO will make you buy into something because everybody's talking about it. And now you're disappointed because it went down, not knowing that you still was winning getting it at 60,000 because we had 100,000 right now. Right. So you got to kind of have foresight and just know that, it's good. Like the whole reason, you got to look at the reasoning of why Bitcoin goes up. One of the main reasons is there's only 21 million of them. It will never be any more. It's not like money where we can just wake up and print it. Due to that, it is a scarce asset, just like gold. So Bitcoin is going up because everybody in the world is racing to get it because it's only so much. And then we got to take into consideration that a lot of people have already lost access. So they can't get back into their wallets. They've lost access to the wallets. They've lost passwords, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of Bitcoin just can't be moved. It's not going anywhere. Like I said, no one can take it from you, but that's why it's important that we have control of our phrases, because if we don't, then you don't lose your Bitcoin when you don't use it. It just stays there. It doesn't go anywhere. So think about how many people lost access. When you think about that, it's not as much Bitcoin as people think that's actually available. But yeah, it's a scarce asset at the end of the day. And with knowing that not every crypto is as scarce as Bitcoin. Not every crypto is scarce. Just to be real. I mean, no, you can't make any more, but it's a lot of different nuances. Like, let's say we have a supply of 100 million tokens, but it's only, 10,000 tokens in circulation. Now, you might see the price going up, but the price could very well drop too once they let the once they release, more allocation of, well, higher allocations of the token in circulation. It's a lot of factors, and I want y'all to write this down because I'm gonna give y'all some of the main factors to look at. These are the things that you want to look at when we're looking at coins, right? So you have market capitalization, which is also known as market cap. And with market cap, that's the total numbers of the coins. That'll be the price times the circulating supply. It's an actual formula. So you can get the market cap yourself by taking the price and the circulating supply and multiplying them times each other, right? Higher market caps usually means it's more stability because it's more liquidity, put into the coin. Now, when you see a market cap low, and everybody's low is different, but like in my opinion, like less than $1 million is low. Even a couple $1 million is low. Even under $1 billion is low in the crypto space, and that's another main difference between this and the stock market. Stock market is safe money, it's old money, it's traditional money, right? So people get excited off of 2 to 3% gains. Ooh, 2 to 3%. If you got a couple $1 million, 2 to 3% is decent. But think about the crypto space is we get hundreds of percents, we get thousands of percents, we get tens of thousands of percents within minutes, within days, within hours, within weeks, within months, right? But within a day, I mean, just me trading, I could do 8%, I could do 15%, I could do 25%. So crypto allows you to be able to take smaller amounts of capital and you can grow it a lot quicker than you would in the stock market, right? The stock market would have to go ballistic for you to get 400% in one day. And it's funny that this is from Forbes, right? Because I'm gonna show y'all something that a lot of people didn't catch about Forbes website as of recently. Y'all see what this said at the top? Connect wallet. Now I posted this like months ago, and like it kind of like went over people's head. It was like, okay, like what does that mean? Look at this. Secure a Forbes Web3 membership today. Listen, I got a video from like 2019 telling people that, hey, in order to really come up off of cryptocurrency, we want to front run institutions and we want to front run nations, because right now it's two things going on. We have whole nations, El Salvador, Brazil, all these different countries and nations literally racing and building Bitcoin reserves as a form of stability to hedge against inflation and other things, right? And you got that going on, but then at the same time, you have BlackRock, you have MicroStrategy, you have the Warren Buffetts and all the, JP Morgans and all the people who told you, hey, crypto's a scam, don't do it, don't touch it. All of these same people are telling you, hey, you better get some before you're priced out. But you know why they didn't say anything about it until now is because they weren't in position. So we've always had the upper hand from the beginning. That's why I don't listen to media about anything dealing with crypto, because they're always late. And I can prove that time after time. I have that proven already. Usually there's a agenda behind anything that they're saying. You got price manipulation, you got FOMO. If you ever heard the phrase, buy the rumor, sell the news, all of that, it plays into that, right? Now let me go back because I want to just read a little bit of this article. I'm not going to read the whole thing for the sake of time, but check this out. So Bitcoin blockchain used to secure election results in Georgia County. Scraven County, hopefully I'm saying that right. Scraven County, Georgia made history on November 5th, 2000. That's the same day of the election. Oh, my stomach hurt reading this. Oh, okay. Made history November 5th, 2024, when it became the first county in the United States to use the Bitcoin blockchain to safeguard the results of its elections. The Screven County Board of Elections worked with Simple Proof, a U.S. company that protects digital records by using the Bitcoin blockchain to ensure their election results couldn't be altered. I'm not even gonna read past that. Y'all can check that out later, but that's so important because even though they went through a company to do it, they used the company almost as like an advisor or like someone that they can trust to make sure everything goes through. But as far as the data, all the data was handled through the blockchain. Like they could tell me whatever, but I could just literally go on the blockchain and read the data. That's why, again, I don't go by what the news tell me because they also tried to tell me, and it's just, I'm big on fundamentals. Once we learn the fundamentals, we can't be bamboozled, and we don't have to. Y'all don't even have to listen to what I say. I tell y'all that all the time. You don't even have to go by what I say once you know the fundamentals. But you can go on chain and just look the data up. It doesn't matter what anybody tells you because the thing about blockchain is it can't be altered. It's permanent. Every transaction that happens copies the transaction before and every transaction that happened before that. So, for example, if I make a transaction right now, every transaction that happened years before this copies with that transaction over to the next transaction. So if you try to change anything within the transaction, it's actually going to change a hash in the code and it's not going to let you move forward. So that's what makes it a trustless system because you don't actually have to trust it because it is what it is. Blockchain is like DNA. That's the simplest way I can explain it. And I'm gonna leave that at that because I don't want to go too far in the rabbit hole. We're gonna bring it back to the whole reason why we're here, which is the fundamentals of it and being able to identify good assets to invest into and why we invest into those assets. So I'm gonna go back to my list, right, of the criteria that we have when we're looking at these coins. Something else that we want to look at is trading volume, right? And that would consist of the daily trading activity. Higher volume suggests better liquidity. Low volume can indicate difficulty.
Not sharing your screen if you're sharing. We're
Oh, it's
still
not.
taking it. Not yet.
Oh no, you know what? I haven't. Is it? Can y'all see me scrolling? Okay, yeah, I haven't done
Yes.
anything on screen. My bad about that, y'all. I was uh, I was reading the list off to y'all. So the other thing that we want to look at is utility and use case, and we all know what utility means. But if it solves a real world problem, is there any adoption or implementation? And is there any competition in the current market? Something I always like to look at is uh high demand, low competition, right? So if you have something like our XRP, for example, XRP actually has a lot of competition, but XRP was able to get all of the corporate backing, and it's held up by a lot of it has a lot of backing behind it, governmental, et cetera, right? So when you're looking at XRP, everybody has their opinions, but I would consider it a safe investment if we're looking at it long term. For anybody who's in here like, man, I just want to make some money, the best thing I can tell you is learn technical analysis so you can make short-term moves that make sense. But if you don't know technical analysis, then I would take the route of investing in assets that I would consider good long-term investments, things that make sense for actual infrastructure in the world. Just like when you look at the stock market, I could say, hey, I want to invest into this company that's dealing with real estate. But then when you look at, okay, what's the company, like, for example, NVIDIA, right? The reason why NVIDIA is so valuable because they're making the processors, the chips, the things that go into the computer. So I can invest in Apple, I can invest in Microsoft, but what what uh what technology is actually going inside the computers, and how scarce is that? What company is producing the steel? What company is producing the wood for the homes? What company is, dealing with the water and the sewage and all? Like, those are the things you want to think about when we just going past surface level investments, right? Eco-friendly investments, et cetera, et cetera. You just want to make sure that, if you're going long term, this is something that you want to, park your capital in. And I ain't gonna say not look at it, but be confident in knowing no matter how much it fluctuates, I can leave it here for years to come. because that's all people did with Bitcoin. I mean, I'm pretty sure y'all seen the video of the guy who was begging people to buy it at 12 cents or $12 or whatever. And he's still online today doing this thing. But it's and that's how a lot of the XRP people are. Like, I mean, like I tell y'all right now, I don't hold any XRP. It might sound crazy, but I'm not interested in XRP at all. Does it mean it's a bad investment? No. Does it mean it's a good investment? No. It just means I'm not personally interested in it. I have my own portfolio. I have my own things that I like. I got a lot of people that made a lot of money off of XRP. Do I feel like I missed out? No, because I got things that they don't have. And that's why this is important to never get FOMO and know what you're doing and why. As long as you have your why, you really can't lose if you know why. That's why I always say don't invest anything that you're not willing to lose. We don't go into this expecting to lose anything, but this little $10 I would have spent on a latte, or this little $50 I would have spent on going out to eat or whatever. I mean, like, you can't get it back after you eat it. So why not invest it? I seen something that was talking about iPhones. If you had every iPhone since the year whatever, you spent this much. If you would have spent that same amount in the Apple stock, you would actually be up way more. And that's a fact. That's not even speculation. So some other things to look at with investing is, the development team. And I don't want to get too far into that, but just doing your due diligence on who's behind the projects. Have they done any other projects? What's their history? What's their track record? Are they doxed, et cetera, et cetera? Those are other important things to look at, especially when talking about parking your capital. I'm pretty sure nobody in here wants to make investments that are just too risky, right? So that's something to always look at. And also it's a site called GitHub, GITHUB. You can actually go look at their GitHub and see what other projects they already have put out, and if they have any open source projects. Something else to look at is their code available online for anybody to see. Has their code been audited? Has there been an audit behind the code of the coin or of the blockchain that you're dealing with? Because without an audit, that's one of the things that I would consider a red flag. If it hasn't been audited, I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna put my money in there, but it's gonna make me very hesitant about putting my money into that, right? Tokenomics, total supply and distribution, inflation versus deflation rate, vesting schedules for team and investors. Tokenomics are very important. That's just the way basically the rules around how the token is distributed, and the functionality of it, and how many tokens are available, and allocation, the team allocation. So, like, for example, what I would consider bad tokenomics is like if 50% of the supply is owned by the people who made the coin, because at any point in time they can pull, and it's like a pyramid scheme. Everybody at the bottom loses, you know. So always make sure you're looking into the tokenomics. And something else to look at is, partnerships and adoption. Do they have quality partnerships? What is the quality of the partnerships? What's the nature of their relationship? Their user growth metrics. What else? Do they have integration with other platforms? Something that always gives me a little bit of security is seeing that they already have integrations with certain companies or certain websites. That shows that they have a little bit of skin in the game, or they already have those relationships, and that someone is accountable, right? And that also goes back to what I was talking about earlier, as far as like utility and the development team. What else? Something else to look at is security. And I don't expect y'all to just know that off top. We can go over that another day, but security. And a lot of that has to do with the development team. That's why I say, it's important to see if they've been doxed, who's behind it. Something that you always want to look at is, who are the developers? Like, yeah, it's cool that Mark Cuban owns it, or this person owns it, or that person owns it, but who are the developers? Okay, let's say ATL dev team, right? Okay, it's ATL dev team. What other projects have they done? And do they have any type of blemishes? Have they been involved in any rug pulls? Have they are they ex ex-Google developers? Are they, did they come from another company? Are they running from something? All of that matters, when we're talking about, again, investing our capital into, just like I say with stocks, we're investing into companies because these coins are companies. They have marketing teams, they have budgets, they have lawyers, they have all the same things that a company attached to a stock would have. So, we would pay attention to all the same things we would pay attention to with stocks, but it's a little bit more due diligence on this side. And it's ways of doing that to make that easy. But and that's why the audits are important. Let's say I was looking for something to invest into. I don't want to invest into, something that is up. Like all of this is up. This did 1,000%. I'm not putting my money in that right now. This did 500. Like, no, we're gonna flip this upside down. Who took the biggest losses? Oh, you see what I'm saying? So now I see opportunity. The more red I see is the more opportunity I see. All of this is opportunity. So if it was to go back to where it was, that's almost a 100% return. That's almost me doubling my money, right? And some of these tokens I'm familiar with. A lot of these I don't know, which is a great thing. Because this is another way you can discover coins. Now, let's say, in my brain, in my mind, if I'm just in a rush and I'm just looking, I'm gonna show y'all how I would do this in real time. So like, let's say I come here, I'm gonna start off here, whoop, do the change. Now I want to go by available coins. I want to go by not who has the most coins, but who has the least coins, right? So as you see, this this right here only has 8 million coins. That means I have a greater upside because remember, Bitcoin is 21 million. This has 8 million. Anything in the millions, numbers pretty usually move fast. When we're talking about growth, right? And we're talking about, well, I made a mistake. We're gonna look at total coins first. Then we want to look at available coins to the total coins. So a good scenario that I would consider out of this list, I'm gonna show you all. And this without me looking at anything else. I'm just gonna look at total coins and available coins. Wait, I just seen it. Wait. Okay, this is not a bad number right here. And I'm familiar with ARWeave. So 66 million total coins, 65 million available coins. So that sounds to me like the rest of them are either allocated to the team or they are locked up. And that would be TVL, total volume lock, or total lock volume. I always mix that up. And that's something else to look at. TVL, total value locked, or total. I always mix that up, but however much is locked in there at total is that's more like a safety net to let you know that it's less likely to be rug pulled and you're in a safer situation. And remember, this is the wild west. Nothing is absolute, nothing is exact. But by taking these measures and paying attention, we put ourselves in a good position. Now, something else to look at, ARWeave. You see the price of this? This is $22 per token. That's beautiful, because imagine had I would have bought ARWeave when it was at 1 cent, which is what we're looking at. How to find gems while they're below a penny. How to find gems when they're below $1. The name of the game is accumulation. How many tokens can you accumulate before the price goes up? I'm not gonna say that's all that matters because that's irresponsible, but that's one of the most important things. If I would have just accumulated a bunch of Bitcoins back then when the price went up, I'm in profit. Now, in order to get a whole Bitcoin, you got to spend over $100,000, right? It's crazy. But I mean, y'all just made me think. Watch this. So market cap. Remember, we discussed market cap. We're gonna go back up here. So highest market cap from top to bottom. Look at this list. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tether, which is stablecoin, XRP, Solana, Binance, Dogecoin, USDC, Cardano, Tron, right? Now, what's interesting about this list is, you see this? This is most of the crypto market is in Bitcoin, right? Ethereum. Now I'm gonna show y'all what's Man, I was just discussing this with my homie the other day, and a lot of us didn't know. Like this went over my head. Like I don't know why this went over my head years ago, but when you look at Ethereum, Ethereum is $3,700 per token currently, right? It was just at 4,000 the other day. Now, what's interesting about that is the market cap is what, 448 billion. Okay. Uh, the price is 3,700. So that's per token. You could have got, when I first started investing in Ethereum, it was like what, $500? No, it was less than $500 a coin, about $300 or something like that, right? Now, total coins, it's only 120 million. Y'all see that ratio? That goes back to that ratio I was talking about. That's why that token is up so much, because again, it's scarce. Yes, 21 million Bitcoin. It's less Bitcoin than it is Ethereum. Y'all see that, right? Y'all see that, right? It's 21 million Bitcoin, 120 million Ethereum. It's 100 billion XRP. And the reason why it's so much XRP, because this is supposed to be, you know, used with banks. So you got to have a lot more available, you know, but it's going to be what it's going to be. Solana is less than a billion. Anything less than a billion is a win in my book, to be honest, when we're talking about total coins, right? And then look at the ratio of how many is available versus the total. That's a good ratio in my opinion right there, right? Um, ooh, 500 million. That's not even, well, a little bit over 500 million. That's not even out yet. I mean, I wouldn't call that a bad ratio. I just had to see how things play out. Now, all of this is for today as well. This is going off daily. So when we're looking at volume, remember we spoke about volume. That's how much has went through there just today. Over $100 billion has went through Bitcoin just today. Over 55 billion Ethereum just today. 263 million billion Tether just today. $18 billion worth of volume XRP just today. This whole list, nothing says a million, right? So when people try to tell me, oh, crypto's dead, NFTs are dead, this is dead, again, I don't want to hear what they got to say. I'm gonna pull the numbers up and I'm gonna look at the numbers. They tried to tell me that NFTs were dead because Bored Ape Yacht Club and this and that, and it's like, okay, that's one NFT project. If I pull up the NFT market right now, I can show you billions of dollars that's been flowing through there every single day since that news came out years ago about NFTs being 99,000, no, 99% down. That's why language is important, because when these people go talking, they don't be knowing what they're talking about. And I don't want to call any names. A lot of them are popular. A lot of us look up to these guys, but they don't be knowing what they're talking about. And I don't blame them, because they just don't know. And that's, it is what it is. But Dogecoin, would I put my money in Dogecoin? No. But does it have the potential to go crazy? Yes. Look, I'm gonna show y'all something right now. So it is 147 billion tokens, right? 147 billion available. So we don't have to worry about that ratio issue. 11 billion went through it today and is actually down 11%, which means you can actually make a play on Dogecoin, and that'd be a decent play. Price right now, 41 cents. Now, we're going to revisit this video a year from now. Look at these prices. 41 cents right now. Just like we were looking at Bitcoin, just like we were looking at everything else. Solana, I remember when Solana was like $30. Like Solana is literally what's the price of Solana right now? $217, right? Binance, which is an exchange. Remember, it's important to know the whole reason why people even putting money into the coin. So, Solana, I look at Solana like I look at Solana like Vegas. We call it, our little joke for it is it's the casino. We call it Vegas, right? But it does have a lot of like good technology and great partnerships, and a great reason why it is where it's at. XRP, that's tied into the bank's governmental things, and it has a lot of institutional backing behind it. Dogecoin is simply a meme coin, but now they're actually finding ways to give it utility by having some type of integration with it, with the government, et cetera, right? Community is a big thing. So the bigger the community you have, you could take a meme coin that has no value and it can become valuable just by the community that's supporting it, right? Tron. I literally have videos well, some of my first students, they got in on Tron at the price of 2 cents. Right now, Tron is at 26 cents, which is still a great price for Tron. And it's down 17% from where it just was. I just put up a video the other day. It was at like 42 cents. So that's almost like 100% return once it goes back to, if it was to go to 50 cents right now or 51 cents, that would be 100% return, right? That's just something to keep in mind. How many tokens do they have? 86 billion. And it's deflationary, meaning the price is going to go up over time because of the tokenomics. The tokenomics are set, they burn tokens a lot. And to burn tokens just basically means to take it out of existence. When you burn tokens, it makes the actual price go up because there's less tokens available. So when you have less tokens available, but you still have capital, you still have market cap, all of those things, the price actually goes up. Shiba, a lot of people talk about Shiba. Look, Shiba has 589 trillion tokens, which is absurd to me, but it's doing what it does. And look at the price of it. It's way under a penny right now. I mean, I could go all day. This one recently just went super crazy. Hedera, market cap is 10 billion. And it's got a lot going on. It's pretty dope. This is down 15% today. Now I'm gonna show y'all something. What do y'all see right here? Is there anything that stands out to y'all when y'all see this?
Bitcoin is down, so the other coins are down too.
Right. Well, that's part of it, but the overall market, right? Like when I see this, I see opportunity. The darker reds are the ones that took bigger hits.
They're on
And then
clearance sale.
huh?
They're on clearance sale.
Everything is on clearance. That's what I wanted to hear somebody say. Everything is on clearance. I see opportunity, nothing but opportunity. On days where all of this is green, yeah, I'm just parking my car and chilling. Like, there's a lot of money to be made in the market, whether it goes up or down. You feel me? And I don't want to get into all the different ways right now. We get into that next time, but some of the ways that we trade. I might have out collateral. So, like, let's say for example, I was borrowing Ethereum, while it was at 4,000. Now I just back down at 3,700. I could pay back a whole Ethereum, and now I'm in profit $300. You see what I'm saying? So it's a lot of opportunity to make money when the market is down, which I'm trading. I'm collateralizing NFTs. It's so many different ways to profit from the market being down. Now we're talking about when the market is going up, you're in profit automatically if you invest into not certain coins. When you invest in the coins and it goes up, you're automatically in profit. There's nothing to really do. So like when let's say you have like 6 Ethereum. If it was to go up a smidget, if it was just to go back up $300, you're in profit across the board on all of them. So you don't have to worry about, what should I do? Once we start talking about taking profit and things of that sort, that gets more into the software of using the wallets and knowing how to go in there and exchange, because you can make a lot of money, but if you don't know how to pull it out or how to take profit, then you're at a loss at the end of the day. So what I would say is, we take everything that we learned today, and you want to apply that to your research process and have a process of knowing why. Like, look at this. Monero, it's down 20%. It was just at like $200 some.